The movie begins by introducing an architect named John. He is very stressed about his married life because he frequently argues with his wife. They also have a young son, who is deeply affected by his parents' constant fights. One day, while John is working at his construction site, he suddenly remembers that it's his son's birthday. He decides that when he gets home, he will try to make peace with his wife and avoid fighting, so their son can finally be happy. John finishes his work properly and goes home. Just as he planned, he reconciles with his wife, and seeing this makes their son extremely happy. After all, every child wants to see their parents together. As the family sits together, a news report appears on TV. The news says that multiple comets are heading toward Earth. Everyone becomes terrified. One comet has already crashed into the Bermuda Triangle, causing massive aftershocks. John immediately steps outside to see what's happening, when suddenly another shockwave hits, knocking him to the ground. Birds in the sky panic and start flying randomly, and even the glass windows of their house shatter. Everyone realizes that if just one comet has caused this much destruction, then this isn't a rumor. It's real. People must start taking care of each other. Just then, John receives the same message again on his phone, along with a recording. The same message also appears on their TV, and other people nearby see it too. They start questioning it, saying, "What kind of justice is this? Why was only your family chosen? Aren't we humans too?" Calling John selfish, they leave his house angrily. John and his family begin packing their things. John's son has diabetes, so they make sure to pack his insulin. Then they get into their car and leave. On the way, their neighbor appears, holding her daughter and begging them to take her along, saying she doesn't want her child to die there. But John and his family are not allowed to take anyone else with them, and leaving the child behind would be even worse. Somehow, they manage to reach the army base, from where they are supposed to leave for a shelter. Many planes are lined up there. They stand in line with the other people, but suddenly John remembers that his son's insulin is still in the car. He tells his wife to board the plane while he goes back to get the medicine. A lot of time passes, and John doesn't return. His wife gets worried and tells the security officers that her husband went to get their son's medicine and hasn't come back yet, asking them to wait for him. But she unknowingly makes a huge mistake. The plane they are boarding has a strict rule: no patients are allowed on board. Because of this, John's wife and son are forced to leave the plane. Meanwhile, John finds the medicine and returns, calling out for his wife and son, but they are nowhere to be seen. He assumes they must have boarded the plane as instructed, so he enters the plane himself. Inside, he can't find them anywhere and starts searching, but eventually sits down. Thinking they might be looking for him elsewhere, that a man on the plane notices the medicine box in John's hand and asks whose medicine it is. John replies that it's for his son. The man is shocked and asks how John was allowed on board with medicine when all patients were being stopped. John realizes that his son must have been denied entry. He tries to leave the plane, but people stop him, saying no one is allowed to enter or exit anymore because the plane is full. This angers the people outside. They become aggressive, shouting that they barely made it there and are still being denied entry. Police begin firing to control the crowd. During the chaos, fuel starts leaking and a fire breaks out, leading to a massive explosion that kills many people. John's wife panics, fearing that John may have been caught in the blast. She searches for him but can't find him anywhere. She then gets an idea and writes a note saying, "John, I'm going to my parents' house. Meet me there. Your wife." She sticks the note to their car windshield so John can see it if he comes back. Then she leaves with her son. Later, John also returns to the car while searching for his family and finds the note. Reading it brings him relief, knowing that his wife and son are safe. We then see John's wife and son heading toward a store. As soon as they enter, some aggressive people start shooting, but they manage to escape. Outside, they spot a car, and John's wife asks the driver to give them a ride to a specific address. The man agrees and lets them in. During the drive, she tells him everything: how they were supposed to fly to a shelter, but her son was denied entry because he has diabetes, and how she got separated from her husband. After listening, the man says something strange. "Did they really call you first and then refuse to take the child? That doesn't make sense. This child actually needs shelter more than anyone." He then says he'll take the child back there himself. John's wife refuses, saying there has already been an explosion and her son would be captured again because he's a patient. Suddenly, The man angrily tells her to be quiet and violently throws her out of the car, driving away with her son. She screams, asking where he's taking her child, and desperately begs passing cars for help. Meanwhile, John is still searching for his family. He notices a group of amateurs singing and dancing, believing the world is about to end anyway, so they might as well enjoy it. Suddenly, a fragment of a comet crashes nearby, causing a massive explosion, followed by complete silence. Terrified for his wife and son, John leaves and soon finds a truck heading to Canada. He gets on, hoping he might find his family along the way, since his wife's parents also live there. Inside the truck, a young man tells John that the government selected certain people for a reason. His mother is a doctor, and she explained it to him. After the comets destroy the world, buildings will need to be rebuilt, so architects like John will be essential. Doctors are being taken too, to control diseases when the world restarts. The boy tells John that they are heading to Canada, where everything will begin again. So, that night, the final flight was scheduled to leave for Greenland, where the main shelter facility was located. The plan was to reach Greenland quietly and take refuge there. The boy tells John, "You're selected too, right? You could have gone directly." John explains that yes, he was selected, but because of everything that happened, he was forced to get off the plane. He also tells the boy that he has lost his wife and son, and finding them is his top priority. Suddenly, some men grab John and demand that he come with them immediately, saying the government has selected him. They don't care whether John's wife and son survive or not. The only reason they want John is because he is an architect. A struggle breaks out as they try to drag him away. Just then, the boy John met on the truck steps in and helps him escape, but tragically, the boy is killed in the process. On the other side, we see the same man who threw John's wife out of his car while kidnapping John's son. His wife is with him. He says proudly, "We weren't selected, but look how smart we were. This kid has a wristband that proves he belongs to a selected family. We'll use it to get into the shelter." The man carries John's son in his arms and reaches the army base with his wife. He tells the security officer, "This is our son. He still has his wristband, but we lost ours in the chaos. You can see how bad things are. Please let us board the plane." Suddenly, John's son starts crying and says, "Uncle, they're not my parents. They kidnapped me. Please save me." The police immediately understand the situation and take the child to the medical camp. Meanwhile, John's wife is extremely worried. Fortunately, someone gives her a ride, and she also reaches the army base. She goes around asking people if they've seen a small boy, describing her son. A security officer then takes her to the medical camp. As soon as they arrive, a doctor tells her, "Your son has been given insulin. Don't worry, he's safe here." Overwhelmed with relief, she hugs her son tightly. John's wife then asks a nurse if she can be taken to her father's house and shares the address. The nurse assures her that a bus is heading in that direction and helps her board it. Finally, she reaches close to her father's home. At the same time, John somehow also makes it to his father-in-law's house and asks if his wife has arrived. His father-in-law replies, "No, son. Was she supposed to come here?" Everyone becomes anxious. John says the situation is critical because the comet is about to hit Earth, and if his wife doesn't arrive in time, anything could happen. Angrily, his father-in-law blames John, saying, "This is all your fault. I trusted you with my daughter and grandson. Why didn't you bring them with you?" John sits down helplessly and starts praying for his wife and son's safety. Just then, John receives a call from his wife. She tells him they're very close to the house. John rushes outside, and finally, he sees his wife and son. They embrace each other, filled with relief and happiness, thanking God that all three of them are safe. John then tells his wife that pieces of the comet are about to fall nearby, but a massive shelter has been built in Greenland. He says they must leave immediately, especially now that they have a car. When John's wife asks her father to come with them, he refuses. He says, "I've lived my life. I want to spend my final days with my friends in the place where I grew up. If death is meant to come, it will come. You go and take care of yourselves." The moment is deeply emotional. Though heartbroken, John's wife leaves for the sake of her husband and child. They begin their journey toward Greenland. On the way, small fragments of comets start crashing down, igniting fires wherever they land. Cars explode when hit, traffic comes to a standstill, and bodies are scattered everywhere. The situation becomes horrifying. John encourages his wife, telling her not to lose hope and to stay strong for their son. He reminds her that the last flight from Canada to Greenland is leaving that night, and they must make it. They drive at full speed, but time is running out. The final plane is already on the runway, about to take off. John drives his car directly in front of it. The pilot comes out, furious, asking if John has lost his mind. John begs him, saying he doesn't know how to explain everything. But they are survivors, they have a small child, and they were part of the selected families. Moved by their desperation, the pilot finally allows them on board. The plane reaches Greenland but hasn't landed yet when a massive comet fragment crashes nearby, causing a huge explosion. Powerful shockwaves hit the plane, forcing it into a mountain, causing it to crash. The front is damaged, and the systems shut down, but thankfully, there's no fire and no casualties. The passengers wave their hands desperately as the army arrives and rescues them. They are taken into the shelter, which is a massive underground bunker. At that moment, the largest comet finally hits Earth. A deafening explosion shakes the entire planet like a massive earthquake. Inside the bunker, people panic and tremble. John hugs his family tightly, overwhelmed with memories, and tells them how much he loves them. Then, suddenly, everything goes silent. The outside world is completely destroyed. The final comet has fallen, leaving behind poisonous gas, making it impossible to go outside. The survivors remain inside the shelter for months, relying on stored food and facilities. Eventually, as the atmosphere begins to recover, the bunker doors are opened. When they step outside, they see that the world is devastated, but they are grateful to be alive. They learn that similar shelters existed in other parts of the world and that other survivors remain. Together, they will rebuild and begin a new world. And with this, the movie comes to an end. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We keep bringing you videos like this.